I'm still in that phase where the season is young enough and there's enough time left that I still care and I'm still getting mad. But I'm quickly going to not care about the Bulls because for 3 games, we've been talking about them blitzing screen roll and the other things that they could do. And you can go back and watch it yourself. Watch at the end of the game. Watch Zach LaVine play screen roll. And watch how he just ends up in no man's land. And then the guy's gone. Not guarding anyone. Not doing anything. And that's even before we get to how teams are like, oh, you're going to blitz screen roll? Cool. We're going to rotate the ball. And watch you not rotate back on defense. We've been watching this for 3 games. The 3 of us have pointed this out this entire week. You mean to tell me the NBA coaches can't look at that and go, I know exactly how I want to attack the Bulls now?
And it's frustrating for the opposing coach when their team doesn't do it. It's because everybody knows what the Bulls are doing defensively.
That's why you're giving up 113 points a game. That's why. Because you don't, whether it is effort or scheme, both things can be true. Jim Boylen can be right when he says guys have got to be tougher. I agree with him. Guys do have to be tougher. You've got to be smarter. You've got to be better. And what coaches love to do, and he was another example of it yesterday, the idea of, well, I'm accountable. You saying you're accountable doesn't mean that you're accountable. It's just something that you say and throw away. If you were accountable, you would at least go, you know what? When Cody asked you why last night in the postgame, why you didn't call a timeout, a person who's accountable will go, I'm going to look back at the game and figure out if that's something that I should have done. Instead of digging in. Coaches love to do this nonsense. They keep digging in and saying, oh, no, I would do it 1,000 times out of 1,000. Get out of here with that nonsense. If I present you with a better way and you still choose to take the worst way, you're a bad coach. Your stubbornness is not a positive to me. It just means that you would prefer that you only do it your way without any sort of input or reflection on what it is you do for a living.
When things are going downhill that quickly, the players are looking to their leader, their coach, to do something, and he just stood by. He stood by as his children were drowning and said, you better learn how to swim.
Yep. That's what it is. I'm trying to get our bench up to speed. I want to develop a bench.
What?
That makes no sense. That's a coach who's in over his head and is saying ridiculous stuff, and you don't have to take it. I felt this way last year when Jim Boylen took over the job, that he was overmatched in doing his job. And I also wanted to make sure that I was being fair to Jim Boylen as he tries to build one of those buzzwords, culture, around the Bulls. So fine, whether it's Tony or Campy or people I know who cover this team on a day-to-day basis, people saying to me, you know, Jim's a good guy. That's great. I appreciate that he might be a good guy. What I fail to see yet is him being a good coach. And yesterday was another example of that. He is overmatched in his job. And I'm not talking about even just handling of the personalities, where I think it was his biggest struggle and he worked through that a little bit as the season went on. I think from an X's and O's standpoint, he is lacking. And don't throw his resume at me to say that he's not, because there's more evidence in his record as being the Bulls coach of 19-47 that he is. And you saw it on display last night. You saw a winnable game just get salted away and no actual adjustments happening while the game is going on. The simplest adjustment that any coach in any sport has when there is a momentum shift and things aren't going your way. It is the simplest thing that a coach can do is call a timeout and make a substitution.
A guy who is known since he's been a head coach to use all of his timeouts had 4 and didn't use 1.
Here are the reasons why you can use the timeout, Tony. There's a few of them. 1, the players that you have on the floor are exhausted, okay? 2, there's something that's happening schematically that you can adjust when they come to the sideline. You pull out the dry erase board and say, okay, this is what they're doing to us. This is how we're going to stop it. Or 3, that schematic change that I'm going to make isn't going to matter unless I make some adjustments with who's actually in the game. Those 3 reasons are reasons why when a team goes on a run like that, at some point you have to call a timeout. He is overmatched. And I'm not here to tell you that because Jim Boylen is not necessarily eloquent when he speaks to the media, although some of the stuff that he says borders on the bizarre, that's why I think he's overmatched. But it does show me that there isn't depth in his reflection on what just occurred. And maybe he's one of these guys that needs to go and look at the film and then go, perhaps we should have done it this way.